Hello, thank you guys for being here today. My name is Lena Terada, and today I'll be discussing why it is important to vote in the United States. Of the people, for the people, by the people. These are words from Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. It's often quoted as the definition of democracy. It's election season, and it's time to do our patriotic and civic duties as we've done since 1776, although in those times only 21-year-old white males were able to vote. As a woman, this specific topic is relevant to me because had it not been for the women's suffrage movement and civil rights activists, subsets of society would be marginalized and unrepresented. The three most important things to remember about the importance of voting in the United States is the ideology of voting, the evolving history of the democratic process, and an American civic duty. What is the ideology of voting, and why did we start voting? The phrase, no taxation without representation, started with a monarchy on the other side of the ocean. As stated in What is Taxation Without Representation? Taxation without representation occurs when a taxing authority, such as the government, imposes taxes on its citizens and other entities, but fails to provide them with a political voice through elective representatives. The specific phrase is the main cause of the American Revolution. People believed that they're going to be taxed for anything, that they should have the choice to choose who they want to represent them, thus allowing Americans to fight for their rights. The American Revolution's sole purpose was to become a government of the people, for the people, by the people. Our founding fathers knew that if we were truly to become a free society, that we would have to form a government of the people, for the people, by the people. Basically, the goal was to give American rights to choose who represents who we are and what we stand for, which is freedom. Some citizens were interested in George Washington becoming King of America, but he denied this. Soon after, people decided that we should become a democratic republic where people could choose and vote who represents us, or who will represent us in the best way. The first voting was in 1776, where George Washington became president, and he was only president for the 2 terms so that we would not become a monarchy. Now we'll fast forward to the 13th Amendment Civil War, bringing me to my next point of the evolving history of the democratic process. The path to becoming a free society with equal rights was a long and challenging process. Originally, only 21-year-old white males were eligible to vote, but as stated in the article, Elections and Voting, this shameful injustice has been corrected and voting rights have been extended several times over the course of history. But discrimination played a huge role in the fight for equality of voting. Specifically, African American male voices wanted to be heard. Even after the 14th and 15th Amendment were added to the Constitution, it wasn't until President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act in 1965. African Americans had complete rights after that. Goodness gracious. Okay, as stated in the article, Elections and Voting, these guaranteed that all male citizens, regardless of their race, would receive equal treatment under the law and not be deprived of their rights without due process. Women came next. For decades, I repeat decades, women fought for their right to vote. If not for the women's suffrage movement and civil rights activists, the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964 never would have been signed. This ensured that all men and women of age 21 had equal rights to vote. As stated in the article, Who Can Vote Today? As a result of many battles, laws, and amendments, modern-day voting is a much simpler matter. Everyone has equal rights to vote. Every single American has the right to vote. And again, as stated in the article, Elections and Voting, Today, citizens over the age of 18 cannot be denied the right to vote regardless of race, religion, sex, disability, or sexual orientation. Which brings us to today, where in this age of information, we have all this knowledge at our fingertips and we are not taking advantage of it. It is our civic duty to pay attention to politics happening all around us. And it has never been easier than it is in present day. We have all this technology and access to different kinds of information, more specifically on the politics happening in our cities and our states and our country. But instead, we ignore it and act like it doesn't affect us. Americans have been fighting for the right to vote for hundreds of years. I'm going to repeat that, hundreds of years. And when they finally won, I'm sure they wouldn't be happy with what we're doing now. We avoid the topic in today's society because we don't want to start arguments with our friends and family in hopes, like, we want to maintain those relationships, but we're going in the opposite direction. For example, a lot of citizens were upset when President Donald Trump was elected, voted into office. Then again, over 150 million Americans have the right to vote, but voter turnouts haven't nearly met this number. Every vote counts. Did you know that 51.8% of voting eligible population voted in the last election? That means 41.9% of us did not. An election can have different results based off one single vote. In the article, Home, it says, Richard Nixon, not John F. Kennedy, would have become president in 1960 if just one person from each voting place had chose differently. U.S. President Andrew Jackson would have been removed from office in 1887, and Texas might not have become part of the U.S. in 1845 if just one U.S. senator had voted differently. You can make a difference. We have the power to vote people in who will represent us how we want them to. But a lot of citizens either don't know or don't care. As it says in the article Home, if citizens think they're paying too much or too many taxes, they can vote someone who promises to lower taxes. If citizens want more services, they can vote for someone who will promise to spend funds to give more services. We have all this power at our fingertips. And as I said before, technology gives us a chance to discover different facts and articles about politics in our country, but we choose to ignore it, including myself. Instead of ignoring it, let's listen. We don't have to argue with people, listen to what they have to say, and come up with a cordial response. On August 6, 2018, Michelle Obama posted a video basically explaining, oh no, I do have to connect to your internet. Okay, so Michelle Obama posted on August 6th of 2018 explaining why we vote and how you can encourage others to do so as well.
Hi everybody, I'm going to get straight to the point. I need your help. More than 50 years ago this week, the Voting Rights Act became law, and for decades it's made our democracy stronger, giving every American from every background and walk of life the right to vote. 50 years is a long time though, and sometimes it's easy to forget all the work it took to get this law passed, all the organizing and marching, all the volunteers who registered voters, all the folks who, even if they knew they'd be turned away at the polls, stood up time and again for their right to vote. Today, we want to honor their legacy and continue their work to ensure that every eligible American casts their vote, work that is far from finished. And that's why I'm announcing When We All Vote's Week of Action. From Saturday, September 22nd through Saturday, September 29th, I'm going to be hitting the road with the When We All Vote team. And we want you to help us. We want you to help us by hosting events in your communities to get folks registered. We want you to help us get folks inspired and get them trained on how to keep spreading the word. So head to whenweallvote.org, sign up to volunteer, and join us for a week of action and for National Voter Registration Day on September 25th, because there's too much at stake to sit on the sidelines, not just in this election, but in every election. And we need your help right now. Thanks so much.
So that was posted a year ago. But if you want to learn more on that, go to wecanallvote.com. Thank you. In conclusion, voting in the United States is one of the most important American rights. So get on social media, talk to your friends and family, and let's spread the word about the ideology of voting, the evolving history of the democratic process, and our civic duty. Regardless of ideology or party affiliation, history has showed that our people fought and won the battle. Now it's time for us to do our part, because the more people involved and the higher voter turnout ensures that we are a government of the people, for the people, by the people.